Welcome to Layer the Alchemist, where we discuss all things heavy metal and hard rock. On today's episode, favorite and least favorites. This is where I go through an artist's catalog or a certain group of albums, pick my favorite song and my least favorite song on the albums. And I'm going to do Led Zeppelin's discography today. So Led Zeppelin had 9 albums. I'm going to go through, I'm going to give you my favorite, least favorite. Kind of tough to do because I'm a huge Led Zeppelin fan. But there are some songs on these various albums that I don't care for. It was kind of harder picking my favorites because each one of these albums has a lot of really great songs on them. It's a little easier picking the ones that I didn't like. But sometimes it was a challenge too. So, all right, let's jump into it. The first one, favorite, Dazed and Confused. I know that main riff was stolen from somebody else. I forget who the artist was that Page stole that riff from, but I think he makes it his own. I love the atmosphere of it. The riff is killer. Robert Plant's vocal delivery in it. When the song gets faster and Bonham's doing all those drum fills, I think it's just great. The song builds really fantastic when it comes back into that main riff and those big John Bonham fills. Love it. Least favorite song from this album, You Shook Me. It's just kind of one of these leftover blues things that Jeff Beck was doing and stuff. And I'm not a huge fan of just those really straight ahead blues type things, especially when it's something like this. There are times when Led Zeppelin plays, they play the blues type stuff a lot. Since I've Been Loving You, I think that's fantastic because they put sort of a little bit of a twist on it. But this is just sort of that dragging along kind of blues things that I just don't like it. Okay, Led Zeppelin II, favorite. I'm going to say Ramble On. This was tough picking on this. I had trouble deciding which one was my favorite. I like the acoustic guitar part of it. The way the beginning of the song is kind of folky and Bonham's playing congas or some bongos or something in the background, but then when it kicks in, Ramble On, that part is just great. So I love this sort of the light and shade, something that Led Zeppelin did really, really well, being able to contrast more mellow stuff with more heavier stuff. My least favorite on this is Living, Lovin' Made. That's a song that I used to like when I was younger. As I've gotten older, it's just kind of a stock song. It's I don't want to say it's silly. It's fun. I mean, I don't hate the song, but the other songs on this record are just so good that this one feels a little bit throwaway. I could see somebody else saying Moby Dick if they don't like drum solos, but I'm such a huge John Bonham fan that I love listening to Moby Dick. It's like one of the few drum solos that I could probably air drum along to the whole thing. But for me, Livin' Lovin' Made is a little bit of a throwaway song. So, all right, the third, Led Zeppelin III, I'm going to say my favorite is the Immigrant Song. Love that. I always say Led Zeppelin is not a heavy metal band. They're a hard rock band, but this is an example of Led Zeppelin being very heavy, very metal-like, a song that would influence a lot of future metal bands. The main riff in it is just killer. The whole feel of the thing, I love the lyrics, the Viking style lyrics, and Robert Plant when he does that thing is just absolutely classic. Love it. Least favorite on this is Hats Off to Roy Harper. I do not like this song. I do not like that weird effect that's on the vocals and the guitar and everything, and the way it's sort of cutting in and out is just annoying. I never like that song. I usually skip over it. It's just whatever is happening in that song with the effect. I just find it very distracting and not very pleasant to listen to. 4, Untitled Zoso. Okay, I went with Stairway to Heaven for my favorite. I almost didn't because I'm a little burnt out on the song, but there's no denying what a legendary song it is, how epic it is, how well written it is. One of the greatest guitar solos of all time. The song just builds beautifully with the guitars layering the intro with those flute sounds there. John Paul Jones, just such a well-written song. Bonham's, that big drum fill that Bonham plays right before the verse comes back in, or the Robert comes back in at the end of the song, is just legendary. It's such a well-written song. It's a song that any band would kill to have to have written. So even though I may at times be burnt out on it, something when I hear it, sometimes I just think, wow, what a just a fantastic song. Least favorite song, Rock and Roll. I'm totally burnt out on this song. It's one of those songs every cover band plays. It's just a little too stock for me. I mentioned before I don't like things that are just straight up blues. I like the drum intro in it. I like the energy of it, but it's just I don't know. It's just my least favorite song on this record because this is such a great album with so many great songs. That one just feels a little I don't know. Nothing too special for that. All right, Houses of the Holy. This was really hard to pick here because I love all these records, but I went with No Quarter. As a metal fan, I love the dark mood of No Quarter, the synthesizer stuff in there from John Paul Jones, Jimmy's guitar lines, the way it drops down and gets really eerie and creepy there, and that effect on Robert's voice and Bonham's like fills and everything, the way he brings the verses and stuff back in is just fantastic. I love it. Least favorite song, Dire Maker, Jermaker, I don't know however it's supposed to be pronounced. Used to like this song when I was younger. It's sort of in the Living Loving Maid camp, but as time has grown on, I just find the song annoying. Maybe it's been played too much on classic rock radio. Bonham redeems it a little bit for me in there, but and it's not that I hate the song, it's just that it just doesn't live up to things like The Song Remains the Same, the Rain song, and that stuff. It just doesn't live up to those standards. Okay, Physical Graffiti. Gotta go with Kashmir here. It's epic. It's up there with Stargazer as far as early epic heavy songs. Again, you can see how heavy metal bands have taken influence from Led Zeppelin. The strings in it are just fantastic, cinematic, take it to another level. That guitar riff from Jimmy is so weird and quirky, but so catchy and unique and memorable. Robert's delivery on it when he's holding out those long notes and the strings come in, it's just fantastic. Bonham, I mean, just everything about it. It's just a great epic song. All right, my least favorite from this one is Boogie with Stu. Again, here it's just kind of one of these throwaway songs. It just doesn't seem to have a lot to it. It's just kind of like a stock blues thing. Just doesn't do anything for me. Next, Presence, Achilles' Last Stand. What a fantastic song. Very heavy. Again, here's that metal side of Led Zeppelin. It's long. Bonham's all over it. Jimmy Page, tons of guitar. This is always kind of In Through the Outdoor was sort of the keyboard album. Presence was sort of the the guitar album. And this is just chock full of heavy riffs, plants all over it. I just love the epic chugging metal feel to the whole thing. Fantastic. Least favorite, Candy Store Rock. Just a forgettable song for me that just doesn't really go anywhere. Just doesn't have this album in general kind of lacks some of the songwriting masterpieces. Some of these songs are a little bit below the Led Zeppelin standards, although it's an album I find myself revisiting often because it's like none of these songs have really been overplayed on classic rock radio or anything, but Candy Store Rock just falls flat for me. It just isn't catchy enough. In Through the Outdoor, In the Evening, my favorite song. Love the mood and the vibe of it, the way it sort of starts off real sort of creepy with plants, with those distant vocals, and then the whole thing kicks in. It's got a cool feel to it, a cool vibe to it. I like the guitar thing. Jimmy's doing like these, not dive bomb really necessarily per se, but he's bending the notes, with his tremolo arm on his guitar, and I think that's really cool. Least favorite song, Hot Dog. I can't even say the name of the song without laughing. I guess, okay, it's fun, it's silly, but it's just, to me, it's just a throwaway song, and I can't stand when Robert, hot dog, the way he says that to me is just so silly. I don't know, I just don't like it. I don't like hearing Robert Plant yell, hot dog. It just does not sit well with me. Okay, Coda. And it's not fair here. Coda was an album, came out after Bonham had passed. and it is, you know, leftover pieces from other albums that weren't used and stuff like that. Favorite song, Darlene. I've always loved the groove in that, the feel of it. It's got almost kind of like a funky feel to it. Bonham sounds great on it. The band is sort of grooving pretty hard, seems to be pretty locked in. Song least favorite on this is Walter's Walk. It's just, for me, unmemorable. There's no chorus to it. It feels like there's no chorus to it. It feels like there's no hook to it. It's just sort of this flat line song. There's nothing particularly memorable about it. It's understandable how it would have gotten left off any of these other albums, but here it's just a collection of leftovers, so it lands up on here, but it is my least favorite. Okay, there you go. Led Zeppelin, going through their catalog, my favorite and least favorite. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite and least favorites are. Some of these other videos, people have used a plus and a minus. Plus for their favorite, minus for their least favorite. Let me know in the comments down below. Until we see you again, and make sure you rock hard, ride free.